kidding. I'm kidding.
I never expected to live this long.
I'm
I
kidding.
have 6 great grandchildren.
Call the meeting to order.
Yes, sir.
First item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have the roll call.
Frank Myers,
Here.
Donna Roush,
Here.
Martha Patterson,
Here.
Casey Benner, Leanne Woldvogel.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I second that.
We may have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda approved. The fifth item on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
I make a motion we approve the amendment. Yeah. The minutes.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. The next item on the agenda is the introduction of evidence.
You have the staff reports on the table. I also sent them to you along with the coordinating documents last week. And then I also have the municipal ordinances and the design guidelines here for reference.
Move to accept those.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the evidence that has been introduced. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Evidence approved. The next item on the agenda is old business.
We have none.
We have none. Do we have a motion to accept the fact that we have no evidence?
I make a motion.
No old business?
I make a motion we accept.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. New business. The first item is to receive a certificate of appropriateness to construct a lean-to on the south side of the detached garage and install an ADA compliant ramp from the lean-to the rear of the house at 525 Jefferson. Is there anyone here that can explain this project?
Want to go ahead and step up to the microphone there?
Yeah.
Introduce yourself. Thank you, sir.
I'm Lloyd Konar, and I first want to say I appreciate you moving your time up to 4 so we could get back before dark to Farmington, so I appreciate that. And what did you
You just want to kind of tell us a little bit about what you want to do?
yeah, like I said, there's a detached garage, building a lean-to off of it for a carport, and then from there, a ramp going into the back porch. That's basically it. It's probably 30 feet, something like that.
Any questions on the board?
Well, most of the, pardon me, the lean-to, would just a separate carport not be sufficient?
There's not room, so it come off of the roof of the garage. That's what the lean-to, off of the top of the roof of the little detached garage.
Yeah,
Yeah, that way it holds, you know, the one side up high. It'd be pretty hard to, wouldn't look if you had it separate and then have it high enough for a car to go in. That's why we're coming off of the roof of the detached garage and coming down with the carport.
What are the approximate dimensions of the lean-to?
You have that, what is that?
What you have here is that the posts for the, what would be the, I believe the south side of the lean-to would be approximately 12 foot from the side of the garage. And then I believe we approximated 10 foot high,
Yeah.
right here, about 12 foot. And then this would be about 10.
Okay, but front to back is 12 feet. Okay. And is that to put anything to be stored there in the exterior? Or is it
Maybe a
just,
carport, might hang a rake or something on the side of the garage or something like that.
is it meant to hold a vehicle?
It is, it's
Yeah,
meant
right,
to hold
yeah.
a vehicle. He said he might hang some garden implements on the side, but that would be it.
Okay.
and the papers here, it said the ramp would be 50 feet, more or less?
The what?
The ramp going from the lean-to
Yeah,
to the porch?
Yeah. I believe
Is that
yes.
going to cause a problem in the backyard? It looks like it's going to cross the entire backyard that way.
No, it, you know, goes to the middle of the door of the porch, and then there's a landing. So it's just from the, where my wife gets out of the passenger side, she can get right onto the ramp and go up.
And that is a really rough approximation. It depends on whether, we did give Mr. Konar some latitude as far as when we talk building permits on the inch per every foot, so it could be shorter than that. But we need to see exactly if he wants to take it straight to the landing or if he wants to take it straight to the back porch and then turn, which is what's pictured here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of the house and the garage behind it. It looks like that's going to be an awfully long ramp.
It
Either
would have to
way.
be because.
It has to be
Yeah.
to pass the permit on the building permit.
Yeah, it has to
One
be a
inch.
certain number
Right, and it
of
goes
rise
by,
per
see-
feet. I understand that.
The porch is not really that high, but you still gotta go 1 inch per foot, so you gotta have it pretty long
Yeah.
to pass the permit.
Is it physically attached to the porch?
Yeah, there's a landing that comes out, so that when you come out of the back porch, there's a door there. I think you're having a 5x6 landing, and then so that way you can have room to turn with a wheelchair or something, or taking up furniture or whatever. And then it has also railings, of course, all the way
It's
up.
physically not a part of the primary dwelling then?
No, it's, right. They're 4x4s, I don't know if you have, 4x4s going
It
up.
would be built up right against the
Yeah.
porch on 4x4 posts on top of piers.
Well, my own opinion,
I don't see that it will create a great distraction view, certainly none from the alley and from Market Street or Jefferson, whatever it is. It's not going to be that visible, and if anybody complains, a short shrub, one short shrub would wipe out the view of it from the street, so
True.
those are just my comments.
Well, I'm all in favor of handicap ramps. If it helps people be more mobile, I'm all for that.
We got a motion to,
She was expressing how she's in favor of handicap ramps, which I think we all would be.
I will make a motion to approve as presented.
we have a motion to approve the project as presented. Is there a second?
I make a motion that we, I second the motion, we approve the project as presented.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll have the certificate available and I'll send it to you, okay?
Okay.
Be safe going home now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope no deer.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, yes.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks.
The second item on the new business agenda is to re-erect a historic log cabin on the property at 311 St. Mary's Road. Is there anyone here to explain that project?
Sir, my name is Candy Mahurin, and thank you all for giving me the opportunity to hopefully make my dream come true. I have the property at 311 St. Mary's Road, Sassafras Creek Originals, the red shop with the yellow trim. And it's not every day that the opportunity to have a log cabin just kind of falls into your lap, which this did. My son, who lives in Vermont, works for a company called Green Mountain Timber Frames, and he has worked with historic preservation. When he was going to school, he made the shingles for Jemima Boone's home in St. Charles. And he's also done log cabin work while he lived here in Missouri. Out east, he mostly does 17th and 18th century timber frame construction. They take down old barns and they re-erect them. But there's been a log cabin at the end of my road in Perry County for the last 15 years that we've been there that we've had our eye on, and we were able to acquire the cabin. And my son and his boss want to come down and put it up on my property, and it would be completely historical, everything about it. It would have shake shingles, it would have wood windows, it's going to be chinked. It's going to be completely reconstructed historic log cabin from the same time period as the shop, which was actually kind of cool because the shop is 1850 circa. The cabin is circa 1850.
And where is the cabin coming from?
The end of my road, down in Perry County.
So it would be historic for Perry County. But if we move it to the historic area here, how does that affect the historic area?
The reason why I would like to build it is A, I don't have a place to put it on any property that I have personally. B, my store does not have any kind of facilities like a kitchen or a place to take a shower or whatever. I like to have guest artists come and spend the night. This would give them accommodations to come and spend the night. It would be used for demonstration purposes, that sort of thing. I'm not trying to make it a historic, I'm just saying it's going to be historically reconstructed. I'm not trying to say it's St. Genevieve.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering about, how it's going to affect the historic district, since it's from Perry County and this historic district is St. Genevieve. Would there be any issue with that?
There's no issue from an ordinance standpoint. There's no issue with it from a SHPO standpoint. The rest of it is up to this forward.
Well, my thought is, it's same period as the house. In 1850s, they did not build vertical logs here then.
No.
So it would be a time period that would fit in with the house.
I have no objection to it as such, as being reconstructed there, because I just love that shop.
Oh, thank you.
And I really like the period type stuff that you have in there.
Mhm.
Basically, you're gonna save this cabin, right?
Yes, I've had my eyes on it for 15 years. The family that owns it, it's just been, luckily it has been, the log cabin itself has actually been under like a big, they built like a big barn around it with a tin roof.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's always been kind of protected, but that roof is falling off and it's kind of exposed. So unfortunately, I didn't have really good photographs of the cabin as is to show y'all, because trees have grown up around it and brush and everything. But my son and his boss have assured me that it's in very good shape still yet and salvageable. And so, you know, I like to do hands-on things. I've got all of this property that I would like to have, you know, cast iron cooking demonstrations, or also, like I said, a place to accommodate some of my artist friends if they would like to come and set up a tent during some of the festivals, and then they could stay in a place where they could take a shower and, you know, clean up. And I just think it would add to the look of the street that I'm on, actually. Being between the two structures, the Amaro and the green tree, I think it would just blend right in.
Would you be willing to do signage that says where it came from, that it's not originally from Smith?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're calling it, if you look on your, did you give them copies of the?
Yes.
It's called the Tully Frenzel House.
I just wanted to read the.
It's the Tully Frenzel Cabin, so it's circa 1850, so that's what its name would be, the Tully Frenzel Cabin.
And giving its original site.
Yes, Perry County. Mhm.
One nice thing too, it is original.
It
It
is
has not been
original.
doctored, it has not been altered. It is original.
Mhm. Yeah, it's absolutely original. In fact, we even want to save the front door, which wouldn't keep a critter out right now, but what's neat is the family scribed their name on the front door. The front door is like an old blue door, and I don't know if you've ever seen like the German pinwheel design on things. I put them on my game boards way before I ever saw this cabin, and they've scribed that under their name on the cabin, kind of like how in Pennsylvania you have the big Dutch barns with the big hex symbols. That's basically what it is. They've scribed that on the door. So we want to put that on the inside with like a barn door slide. That would be the bathroom door to slide, because I want to even save the door. The door is ultra cool, but it's not good enough to keep anything out. So,
It's not like there's never been a precedent set anywhere else for doing this,
No.
to save cabins, bring them in, or other houses.
This is done in
this is the
communities in
first, is
Missouri.
from what I understand, so, for here.
Yes.
It's weird to be bringing a historic structure to, say, Genevieve, when this is already such a historic town, but I do think that it will add to the fabric of the story.
It is a different request for St. Jim, but it has been done in multiple other communities in Missouri.
Yeah, I would think it would be very attractive, as long as it's definitely signified that this is not a St. John historic.
Absolutely. When people come in the shop, I give them the whole history of the Brooks house. I would do the same for the cabin.
Will the city's codes, electric codes, and safety codes still be required in this structure?
Absolutely. Ms. Murin and I have already discussed, once, if she gets past this point, that we'll need some drawings, where the electric's going to go, where the water's going to go. Yep.
Good.
Yeah, we'll have a schematic. I've already met with the
Because there's
electrician.
very little here that you can actually see what it's going to be from the state code standpoint and utility standpoint. But if it's agreed that it meets city code,
It would have to be re-erected. Yep.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve this as accepted.
Do we want to approve it with
Accept it as it's
As
presented.
presented.
do we want to approve it as as a, you know, oh, I'm losing my train of thought here.
I believe,
With the amendment that we wanted to be signed on the front as not original to St. Gen, but original to Perry County or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
something.
Is that okay, Martha?
Like a plaque.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I can even paint one myself, so.
Brilliant. Good job.
I would second that then, with that addendum.
We have a motion on the floor to approve. Is there a second to that motion?
Ms. Waldvogel seconded.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Well, thank you all for letting at least the first step of my dream to come true.
Good luck. It's going to happen. Good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next item on the agenda is the explanation of the administrative approvals.
We have two repairs that were done. One is at 167 South Gabourey, which is a front porch repair. They're replacing existing non-original materials with the same non-original materials, basically the posts and floorboards of the porch, I believe. The second is at 64 North 2nd, basically replacing a fence in the backyard with the same fence.
Is there any questions on that issue? If not, we'll go to other business.
I just want to mention that even though we're just found out, and there are multiple stages to go through, that we were approved for the SHPO grant that, if you remember, we were going to apply for about 4 months ago. That is to have a historic preservation training days. It will probably be in the fall or spring of next year, or the fall of this year or the spring of next year. The funds haven't been necessarily appropriated by the federal government yet, so that something could happen that we wouldn't get those dollars, but the folks at SHPO believe they will get that appropriation here in the next month. We, the city, still have to sign the agreement for the scope, purpose, and description of the grant, which we plan to do next Wednesday, but St. Gen was awarded that. It's approximately, I want to say, $9,000. I can give details if need be, but we did win that grant, so congratulations.
Fantastic.
Well,
And thank you.
for the different outlooks on the historic districts that you sent.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was interesting.
You're welcome, yes. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, are there any public comments? I see no other comments here, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
And I second it.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second to that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned.